Hey everyone, and welcome to the third season of Unpacked, a podcast by Afar. I'm Aislinn, and as you can probably tell by this giant microphone in front of my face, I host the show. Every week on the podcast, we unpack a different tricky topic in travel, and this week is no exception. This is Unpacked. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hey, Aislinn. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome back to Unpacked. I'm sorry we're not doing this in person like we had tried to last week.
Oh, I know, but it's kind of the nature of this company, right? We're always somewhere, and it's kind of great, but it was so good to see you recently in Toronto.
Yeah. And are you back home in the Pacific Northwest? Like, where in the world are you right now?
I am. So I am back in the Pacific Northwest in my base on Orcas Island, Washington, in the San Juan Islands archipelago, which it's just my favorite place in the world, and I'm very lucky to be able to spend a lot of time here when I'm not in New York.
You are living the dream. Well, you are our resident hotels expert, and I love that you have a very special relationship with hotels. Would you mind sharing this journey of how you grew up and how you kind of entered this hotel space?
Yeah, hotels are a really special thing for me. I kind of entered the travel publishing world kind of just with a wanderlust, like we all have, right? But I kind of look back and think maybe it was it was meant to be, and I was meant to kind of have this role. My father was a hotelier. I was actually born and raised in the hotel world. My first home was a hotel in Manila in the Philippines. My dad was the GM of a hotel there. He was also the GM of the Plaza Hotel, which is a very famous hotel in New York City. So I spent my childhood with kind of a foot in Asia and a foot in the United States, following my dad's career, basically, and living in hotels most of the time and kind of experiencing luxury hospitality firsthand, but also kind of from this sort of insider back of the house point of view. So, funny, a lot of people joke that I was kind of a little Eloise from the Plaza Hotel, just because I actually did live in the Plaza Hotel, which was, in hindsight, amazing. I mean, I was 8 years old and I had a sauna in my bathroom and couldn't care less. And I look back and I'm like, why was it wasted on this 8-year-old? I would have been in there all the time had I been living there today.
Oh my God. Maybe someday you can go back to living in the Plaza and then you'll really use that sauna in your bathroom. I feel like you wrote a story, and didn't you talk about your mom having a rice cooker in your hotel room?
Yeah, I did write a lot about how to create a sense of home in all of these places that are not home, right? Or what home means when you're moving every, 2 to 3 years. And my mom's rice cooker was that item, right? She never let us order room service. We were never allowed to do any of the fancy hotel things whenever we lived in. But the rice cooker for me was sort of that symbol of, we're going to make dinner like a normal family, even though you can order beef tartare downstairs or whatever it is. Yeah, it was kind of this is home. My mom's rice cooker is home.
I mean, very impressive on her part that she managed to kind of create this consistency for you kids as you're growing up.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Well, you are uniquely positioned as Afar's hotels expert. What do you love about hotels and this industry? What's your passion?
Well, if you think about whenever you travel, you think about the amount of money that you spend on a trip, right? Of course, there's the air ticket, which can be expensive depending on the time you book and everything. But one of the biggest things we're going to spend on is our hotel. And if you think about the impact of that on the place you're visiting, the people you're going to see in that destination, there's so much of a broader impact. So the place you choose to stay, is going to impact how you experience that destination, and it's also going to have an impact on the people and the places that you're visiting. So think about all the staff people that people hire at hotels, the local suppliers, the way they operate, whether it's sustainably or not, what kind of vibe they create for locals and restaurants. So if you, for instance, care about local ownership and if you care about sustainability, however the hotel acts is what you're buying into. So I think it's a very important part of the A, financial decision, B, experiential part of your trip, and C, the impact that you'll have on your destination.
I do love that Afar puts so much emphasis on that aspect of how does this hotel and your experience there impact the local community and how are they pulled in?
It's certainly one of the key things we think about when we're looking at hotels for especially our best new hotels list.
Yes, which we are here to talk about today. So how did you approach that list, and how did things like that local impact kind of factor into your decision making?
So these days, I think, there's more choice than ever when it comes to hotels. Like a new luxury hotel opens every day, it seems. And I think for the traveler, especially for the Afar traveler, we want those enriching experiences. But again, we want experiences that are also benefiting our destinations and bringing kind of positive impact to it. So what we think about it, it's kind of crazy. We canvass the entire world for hotels that we feel are real game changers in the places where they are. So in London, where there's a lot of hotels, we think about what's already there and what this new hotel is bringing, and how they're maybe like elevating what you can already find, how they are creating new, more sustainable operations, how they are hiring better. So we look at everything. I mean, we also want the most incredible experiences of destinations around the world. So if you're going to Nepal, we want that hotel to unlock a new side of Nepal for you. If you're going to be in New York, we want that New York hotel to reveal something else that you didn't already know about the city. So we kind of look for that special, like, experiential quality. But again, we're also looking at the back of the house and saying, how are you operating? Who are you hiring? What kinds of sustainability practices are you employing? Like, all of those things kind of factor into this list that we cull, and we're very careful about culling the list into a very kind of small, well-curated selection of places that we ultimately hope will inspire people to travel to those places. We see them as these hotels as reasons enough to travel to those places.
And then I love that idea that then the hotel is one of the keys to unlocking that destination. I mean, it just kind of magnifies the impact that they can have. So there are 31 hotels on this list, which is, I believe, twice as many as there were last year. What was behind that kind of change and that increase?
So actually, this is not that big of a list. A lot of publications do these lists of maybe 100 hotels. We chose 31 hotels, which is actually bigger for us. It's more than double the size of the list that we had last year, but it's still pretty small in the grand scheme of things. And the reason we keep them small is because we want to really, really kind of nail like which hotels were true game changers in their destinations and which ones are really setting a new standard. 31 hotels allows us to reach a broader scope of types of luxury experiences. So that can range from a tented camp in Africa to a beautiful old war office building that was restored in London where Winston Churchill once made wartime decisions.
Wow, that is incredible. And one of the things that I do appreciate about a lot of the work that we do just in general at Afar is that we vet these things in person, right? We have boots on the ground, people on the ground that can help us understand why something's important. And I believe that you visited several of these hotels last year. Could you share the ones that you met?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, a few of them, one of the things you know how much I love Africa, Aislinn. I talk about it all the time.
Yes.
And last year I actually got to do a hard hat tour of Luapi in South Africa. It's in the Kalahari Desert. It's amazing. It's this beautiful landscape that was rewilded. It was former farming land that was turned into a private reserve. And you have rhinos, you have lions, you have like all of the like pangolins. It's like actually a really great place to see pangolins. And so cool. It's amazing. And they only had two types of accommodations there, and they're adding this third very exclusive private accommodation where you get your own car. You can kind of do a more family centric vacation if you want to, or a group centric one. And the footprint is so low. When you're there, you're still not going to run into any vehicles outside of maybe like one other vehicle from another lodge. Like, you have the place to yourself, and the conservation story there is incredible. So just for me to be able to see, and I love a hard hat tour. Like, I'm always in these hotels before. Yeah, it's one of those things where when I get in before the hotels open, I feel this sense of ownership. When the hotel does really well, I'm like, oh yes, I remember seeing when you didn't even have the bathtubs in the rooms or whatever. I mean, it's like that like kind of backstory thing that kind of helps me get jazzed about a place, and it really helps me understand how much effort goes into these places. And I mean, hotels are multi-year expensive projects that don't have a quick ROI. You have to have an owner that has the buy-in on all of the values that hotel company brings. So it's a really interesting kind of back of the house process. I also stayed at the Carlton Cannes in France, and that's like the Cannes Film Festival Cannes. Yes. The Carlton was one of those I mean, still, it's got this beautiful kind of really ornate exterior. A lot of celebrities have stayed there, and it's had this reinvention that you would not believe. It is so incredible. It's got all the trappings of kind of modern luxury. Like, you feel like you're part of history, but you also feel you're getting taken care of in a contemporary way. And I just remember, like, one small tweak in a room configuration can change everything. So the Carlton Can has these beautiful views out to the sea, like from the windows with these like kind of wrought iron balconies, and they now have the kind of seat, this chase lounge that sits right in front of that view. There's like no mistake that is the most important part of your guest room experience, is to take all of that in. So I just loved being able to experience that firsthand and say, yeah, I can't think of a better way to experience Can. It was like looking at a postcard. It was so beautiful.
Well, I have not stayed at any of these hotels, but there are several that I'm kind of currently obsessed with. So, for example, the Kona Village on the island of Hawaii, and they have such a cool sustainability story, which I also know is very important to you. It's important to me, and it's both a kind of a cultural and an environmental story.
I'm actually checking into the Kona Village. It's a Rosewood resort in early April, so I will get firsthand knowledge. So we had a reviewer go. She fell in love with it. This is one I've been following for a long time. This is a hotel that my mother is from Hawaii, and this is a hotel that was an icon since the 60s. Like, everyone knows Kona Village. It's on the island of Hawaii. It's all about swaying palms, and it's like right by these blue waters of the bay. I mean, the setting could not be more magical. There are even like ancient petroglyph fields nearby and everything. It's pretty incredible. So sadly, a tsunami destroyed the resort in 2011. It was really tragic, and Rosewood Hotels came in to do a reimagination and a renovation of the property. The thing that they did, which I love, is they brought in a cultural community composed of Hawaii Island residents and honored elders who could really take ownership in terms of what that hotel hospitality experience would be like and how that hotel would interact with the destination. So it was really incredible to see Rosewood step up and say, like, we're not just going to reimagine this and put new bells and whistles on it. We really want to create an experience that feels good to locals as much as it does to people who are coming to visit. And there's a lot of things that are going to be reflected in the guest experiences. So there's a lot of like preservation focused organizations that are going to allow visitors to come in and see monk seal rehab centers and understand like the landscape and the history and the culture better and everything. And so all of that is sort of a co-authorship. And I think co-authorship is so important when you're looking at places with a lot of indigenous roots and a lot of indigenous storytelling. It's like, who's telling those stories? And it's very clear that Kona Village wants that to be in the hands of Native Hawaiians. So that's incredible. I'm really looking forward to seeing it myself.
I also was curious if you are seeing more and more hotels that are having these conversations, that are really bringing local communities in, especially, perhaps marginalized or indigenous communities. Is that more of a trend that you've been seeing?
Absolutely. I think that if you want to be a hotel that speaks to an Afar audience, when that audience member pulls back the curtain, they must be able to see some sort of engagement with any sort of local communities or cultures where they're located. So, I mean, Kona Village is a great example. I just think so many of our readers care about where their dollars are going and what their dollars are supporting. And that local engagement is, I think, essential now.
And it's cool to see that hotels are no longer so much imposing their vision and really kind of carrying forward that conversation. Well, you mentioned Nepal earlier, and I also am obsessed with the new Shintamani Mustang there. Why is it so unique?
There's so many things about this hotel. So the person behind it is Bill Bensley. He's a designer and architect. He's based in Bangkok. I've met him a couple of times. He's a really awesome, like, out there guy. He is a very prolific hotel designer, and he has designed some of my favorite hotels around the world. I mean, just trying to think of like the Siam in Bangkok. There's a hotel called Shintamani Wild in Cambodia where, get this crazy story. He and a business partner pretended that they were loggers at a logging auction for forest land in Cambodia. And then they transformed this little like 500-acre plot of land that was supposed to go to loggers into a conservation area where there's a tented camp. And so there's a tented camp in Cambodia. There's wildlife that goes through it. There's all these conservation projects. They actually brought someone in from South Africa to run the place as a GM because they want to have that sort of conservation mindset. He also has a place opening in Republic of Congo in the next year or so. So Bill Bensley, he's so sensitive to conservation, to cultures, to the kind of preservation of lands and biodiversity. So I just love everything he does. He's very sustainable, and his designs are so dreamy and fun and out there. So when I heard that he was opening in Mustang, Nepal, which is in this very like kind of less visited area of Nepal, there isn't a lot of luxury there. I stopped in my tracks and absolutely could not wait to hear what this would be like. A few writers have been through and we sent a reviewer, and I mean, it sounds incredible. It's sitting at 9,200 square feet on this like rocky mountainside. There are these like suites that are furnished with all this beautiful kind of Himalayan inspired interiors and architecture. It's just all Bill Bensley. It's very responsible and sustainable. They have a lot of connections to local communities, which I really love. And it brings a new level of luxury to a place that doesn't have a lot of foot traffic yet. So it'll bring a new audience, I think, to that area, which I'm excited about.
How cool. Is this on your horizon as a personal visit?
Oh my goodness. As soon as I can get to Nepal, this will be my first stop. I just can't wait to experience the region through the lens of Bill Bensley and all of the local stakeholders he brought in.
I mean, I have mad respect for anyone who would go in pretending to be a logger and then flip it around and make a conservation project. Like, you got to follow somebody like that.
I know.
That's incredible.
And when I heard that, I was like, you've got my vote, Bill Bensley. Anytime you open a hotel. And watch for that Republic of Congo one. Keep an eye out for that because it's going to be another big game changer for that region.
I was really impressed by the restoration of the Raffles London at the OWO. Is this one of the most historical places on the list? Because it kind of read that way to me.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Thank you for asking about this one because I'm so excited about it. Last year, I visited the hotel as I like to do on a hard hat tour before it opened. Yeah. The hard hat tour took 3 hours because
and that's unusual?
It is unusual. Okay. Usually, a hard hat tour, you kind of like pop through a couple of rooms, you see the dining spaces, you see the spa and everything. But there is so much history in this building and so much to say that it took, and it's so huge. I mean, so the OWO stands for Old War Office. It's where Winston Churchill presided. Lawrence of Arabia worked here. MI-15 and 16 were both kind of born here. The building cameos in 5 James Bond picks, which is crazy. Dang, it's incredible. There are guest rooms. There's 120 guest rooms, and there are residences too. The owners are the Hinduja family. They're one of the most affluent families in the UK. And one of the ideas behind this hotel was to leave a legacy behind in London. And I mean, I can't think of a better legacy. This is like incredible location near the Horse Guards in Buckingham Palace. The building itself was done with so much care and love. I mean, you have these like ornate banisters that are made with stone, and you have these like beautiful carved wooden interiors. I mean, I remember walking into like a closet of a suite thinking it was a suite. And the person giving me the tour said, no, we are in a closet. And it was the size of 2 of my New York apartments. It was gigantic. So this place is very special just from the opulence of it, but also from the history of it. I mean, you'd see why it's like a movie setting kind of place. And, you know, the fact that... Yeah, and Winston Churchill made these huge wartime decisions there. You feel kind of like you're part of the Buckingham Palace story as well because you're so nearby. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. And it was a multi-year restoration project with a lot of love and care. Raffles is the luxury hotel group that's running it, and they're doing a very fine job. Our own Anya von Bremsen went and reviewed it, and she fell in love. She loved the hotel, and she loved everything that they did with it. And they have a Mauro Colagreco restaurant, which is a big marquee restaurant for them. So yeah, no, I think it'll really turn Whitehall, that kind of sleepy at night Whitehall, as Anya likes to describe it, into a dining and drinking hub.
I mean, can I just go and like book the hotel or the closet? It sounds like you don't even need the room. Can I just
That sounds good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The closet's fine.
yeah, whatever. I'll take whatever. Have they set aside parts of the hotel as specifically kind of preservation that are almost museum-like?
The idea is to live in the historic parts of the hotel, so there isn't anything that feels that. I think that's the great part about hotels, by the way, the ones that are really historic, is that you are in a living piece of history. So they, like hotel companies that restore these hotels in a way that is exciting, they're usually giving people access to those rooms and letting them live in them. I mean, you're like kind of living next to the fireplace that was there originally, right? So there's less of the sort of cordoned off museum feel and more of the like, I get to have this all to myself, which is what I think the OO did so well.
Well, kind of broadening out to some, categories that people might travel for. So what would you recommend from the list for people who really love design or architecture? Aside
this
from
is a
the
fun one. This is such a fun one. So one that immediately comes to mind. So there's a designer named Martin Brudnitsky, he's a Swedish interiors maven. He is very prolific in the hotel world right now, but he's done some really amazing projects that have stood out on our list. So a couple of them are the Fifth Avenue Hotel in New York, which is all about the sort of like Gilded Age glamour of New York history, and then the Le Grand Mazarin in Paris. So now both of these hotels, if you look at them, they're all about like bright colors and maximalism. And that's a huge trend that I'm seeing right now in the hotel world. Gone are the quiet kind of beige on beige spaces. I mean, they're still around, but there's definitely more of a move towards like this maximalist kind of sophisticated maximalism where you're getting colors on colors and patterns on patterns. I mean, you're seeing this also at a new hotel that just opened in New York called the Warren Street Hotel, which is definitely another one to watch for the next year. But this maximalism trend is kind of in full force, and Martin Brudnitsky is a perfect example of that. And the Grand Mazarin in Paris and the Fifth Avenue Hotel are two musts to check out on our list. Another one that I feel has a different flavor and a kind of different take on design is Violino d'Oro in Venice. Now, this is a family-owned Italian company that opened a hotel in Venice with the idea of showcasing local artisans. So everything you touch, from the Rubelli fabrics to the hand-placed Venetian Seminato Terrazzo flooring, to the Vanini chandeliers, are all sourced locally or regionally. I mean, everything you experience in the hotel will have a story, and you're probably going to want to buy the tiles and the Murano glass chandeliers. And the great thing is that the owners know exactly how to source them. So if you are looking to renovate your home, go to Violino d'Oro and just take your pick and go visit the ateliers. It's pretty amazing.
Bring a couple of extra suitcases or get ready to ship things back. Have a wonderful stay and redecorate your house. So those sound like fantastic places for people who travel specifically for design or art. What about people who want to be immersed in the outdoors or, have a nature experience?
So we were just talking about Shintamani Mustang. I think that is actually an amazing way to get into the Himalayas, the Nepalese Himalayas. I mean, you're in this kingdom. I mean, so Mustang is a Himalayan kingdom that was only fully open to Western tourists in 1992. So day trips or drives to ancient mud villages, tours around Buddhist pilgrimage sites, hikes to glacier lakes that end with these picnic lunches that are soundtracked by the rumble of a distant avalanche, as one of our writers describes. So you're right there next to nature while also having this very kind of cushy luxury experience. In the States, there's Ulum Moab, which is a spin-off of Under Canvas. If you've heard of Under Canvas, they're all about kind of glamping, tented camp experience. Now, Ulum in Moab, Utah is the next level luxury of that, but you're still fully connected to nature in that beautiful sort of rust-colored landscape. But you have a king-size bed, and you have a bathroom with a rain shower, and you have seating areas with West Elm slingback chairs. It's a very luxury experience, but all very thoughtfully and sustainably created, but also you're fully kind of immersed in nature. And of course, Luapi in South Africa. Again, this conservation project is so special, and you're seeing endangered rhinos, you're seeing lions, you're seeing pangolins at night, and you get access to all these researchers who can unlock the stories in nature that you might not already see. I mean, when I was at Luapi, I met a PhD candidate who is working on puff adders, which is a type of snake, a very poisonous type of snake. And she is so passionate about it, and she tags snakes. She puts like little tracking devices in snakes and can find one for you. And it's so funny. Usually when I'm in the African bush, I am looking to avoid snakes, but she's like, no, I will take you to one. And I'm like, okay.
Do I want that?
So is that too close to nature for you, Aislinn? It was for me, but I don't know. But I love the idea of having access to all of those people who can do that storytelling. I mean, they're hardcore conservationists. So there are a lot on our list that really kind of tap into those outdoorsy nature experiences if you're looking for that.
How cool. I think I might be swayed by that person's passion and be like, I do think I should see a puff adder because I'm here and maybe I'll never see one again, and you can protect me from it if it goes crazy.
Yeah, and you get a little more empathy for our surfing, our danger noodle friends, as it were.
Danger noodle friends. That takes all the sting out of the danger noodles. Oh, wonderful. Well, okay. What about, say, something like the category of wellness, which does seem to have become bigger and just, people seem to be seeking that out more. So if I were to seek it out, I would want to go to the Six Senses in India because, wow, that just sounds incredible. Is that one of the places that you would recommend?
You are spot on the wellness trend. So, and Six Senses Vana is like the perfect example of this. So it's what's interesting right now. So you have in the hospitality world, you have destination spas, which are spas first and then hospitality experiences second, right? So you're not there for the hotel room and then a spa treatment. You're there for the well-being experience. And I'm seeing the line kind of blurring between the two a lot. And Six Senses Vana is a good example of that. So it was actually the kind of passion project of an owner who spent many years creating a wellness experience that was not just Ayurveda, but it was rooted in like global well-being practices, Chinese medicine, etc. And so he was running it for a couple of years, and then he partnered with Six Senses, which it's kind of globally synonymous with like luxury and well-being and kind of deeper dives into well-being if you're going to a resort, but not in the way where you have to sacrifice everything. So you can still have a glass of wine with your detox experience. You can kind of dial it up and dial it back. So Six Senses and Vana partnered up, and now Six Senses is managing the property and bringing a little bit more of its Six Senses ethos to it, while also maintaining all of the amazing principles that the original owner, the current owner, created. So it kind of encourages someone who's like a little bit more inquisitive about what it means to have a well-being experience. I mean, there are a couple of things that are a little bit more kind of destination spa than hotel. So, for example, cell phones are banned in public spaces. Everyone wears white pajamas that the property provides. So there's definitely that feeling. You're there with intention for sure, but it's also got that Six Senses ethos where you're also there to enjoy the region in the scenic foothills of the Himalayas. So I think that's brilliant, and we're going to see more of that.
Wow. I love that. You could also choose to have a glass of wine, should you need that as part of your detox.
Exactly.
Well, I wanted to zoom back out a little bit. First, what do you look for in a new hotel?
So whenever I'm looking at a new hotel, I'm looking at that game-changing angle in the place where it is. So that can vary from place to place. So what is that new hotel bringing that isn't already there? And also the guest experience. Ultimately, the idea is for the hotel to unlock a destination for a traveler. So what are they doing for the traveler that will help the traveler see that destination in a new way? So it could be an experience on site. It could be something outside of the hotel. It could just be having a really good concierge who can say, go here and not here. And if you're looking for this is where you should go. And, even service, right? Like if you think about time as an asset and something we value in our travels, a concierge can be the person who can unlock time for you. They can fix an issue at the hotel. They can help you with an airplane ticket that you need to change, and you can save that time to spend in the destination. And these days, there are hotels, I'm thinking of a hotel in Paris right now, that actually have local art curators and people who are experts in their destinations so that they can benefit the traveler while they're staying there.
That's so, I never would have thought about asking if a concierge could help with a travel hiccup, like a flight that needs to be changed or something.
I mean, there's that, and there's also just, where is that hotel? Like, is it in a place that you couldn't otherwise visit if there wasn't a hotel. I mean, one special one on our list is Southern Ocean Lodge that was actually a victim of the wildfires in Australia a few years ago, and they've just reopened after a painstaking renovation with more sustainability and more just kind of incredible ways for people to experience their landscapes. But like, it is one of the only places of that kind of level to stay on Kangaroo Island in Australia, and it's a really special place with, I mean, wild kangaroos and like all the, I mean, it sounds so incredible. That is one of the ones I cannot wait to get to, actually.
Well, that kind of leads nicely into, you talk about how hotels are destinations unto themselves sometimes. And I was just curious to know why that is true, why you think that's true for you.
Well, if you just imagine a hotel in London where like Winston Churchill made his wartime decisions, or a hotel in Venice where everything you touch, from the fabrics to the floors, tells you a story of a local kind of historic atelier. I think sometimes we think that hotels are for outsiders, but the best hotels are actually the ultimate insiders. They often help tell stories of the people and places where they're located. So when you're sleeping in the Violina d'Oro in Venice, you're surrounded by the work of local artisans. When you're staying at the Riyadh Rosemary in Marrakesh, you are immersed in that beautiful Riyadh culture in the middle of the Medina. So I definitely think that when you check into a hotel, it can actually be the destination.
So I guess my question is, like, you must be on the road all the time because how can you not want to check out every single one of these? It must be so challenging to actually stay at home on Orcas.
Oh, yeah, it is I am on the road a lot. It's definitely one of those challenges of balance, but I mean, luckily we can work from anywhere. And my favorite thing to do is to sometimes just check into a hotel and experience all the hospitality there. Like so many of us spend a couple of hours to work from a hotel. WFH.
Yes. I want to work from hotel more. Well,
I think we all should.
We all should, yeah. Mm-hmm. Looking ahead, what can we expect in 2024 in terms of hotel openings? You mentioned a couple. Are there any that you're like really excited about at this moment in time?
Oh my goodness. Well, I just came out with an article with my springtime picks, although that list was so long that I had to whittle it down to 10, and it was very difficult. A few of the highlights, I mean, there's a really cool Mandarin Oriental coming out in Mayfair in London, which I'm really excited for. It's a more intimate kind of small hotel, which I love. And then also in London, there's the Emery Hotel, which comes from the Maybourne Group, which is one of London's most exciting. I mean, they have Claridge's, they have the Berkeley, they have the Connaught. I mean, their hotel collection in London is already really respected and historic and admired and everything. And I cannot wait to see the Emery. It's supposed to be attached through like a sky bridge to the Berkeley Hotel, which a lot of people know if they know London. And I mean, this is, it's going to be really special. It's going to be very much for the person who doesn't want to be seen, who wants to be more kind of like off the beaten path. It's like, it's going to be incredible. I'm really excited about those. There's also a Soneva Secret opening up in the Maldives. So Soneva was created by a really visionary guy named Sonu Shivdasani, and he's all about well-being and sustainability. He has hotels in the Maldives already, and this hotel is meant to be a little bit farther off the beaten path, family-friendly, but just a little bit kind of farther off if you want to get out, kind of really immerse yourself in nature.
Sounds like 2025 will be just as challenging in terms of whittling down this list and trying to pick the best new hotels.
Aislinn, I think about hotels every single day, and I promise you that this list, I think about all the hotel stories that I'm not telling, and I lose sleep over it. So yes, it's definitely a labor of love, and one that we dedicate a lot of time and obsession to, for sure. We're a bunch of hotel obsessives here at Afar.
Well, thank you for sharing your passion and your obsessions with us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Aislinn. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
You too. Okay, that was our show. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll include a link to the podcast below.